was honking at me. Stupidly, I flipped her off. I never shook my fist at her, nothing else. She got out of her car at that point in time, come up, beating on my window, was screaming, I'm going to kick your butt, but she was not saying but. Get out of your truck, you white bee this, white bee that. I rolled down my window. I said, you need to go get back in your car before you embarrass yourself. She went back into her car. We both proceeded to go. She spun around me. She's still screaming. I'm saying some stuff. We get like we're right here, and she is calling me all out of my name still, profanity, racial slurs. I am married to a black man. I am not racist. I rolled down my window. I said, you are giving young black women a bad name. You should not act like that. I would never allow my daughter to act like that, or my son. She's like still using profanity, still cussing, and she's like, pull over her. By this time, the other sister was screaming at me too. Pull over, we're going to whip your butt, blah, blah, blah. She starts to go. I take off. Bam, I hit her. She's barely like this. They're going to pull over. They're trying to cut me off to fight. She never got out of the car. I hit her. When I hit her, we stopped. I probably stopped for 30 seconds. I'm not going to lie. Both of them at that time got out of the car. She was never out of the car until after I hit her. And then they were screaming, we're going to kill you, you stupid white bee, blah, 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 calling me racial. I can't believe it has turned into a racial thing. It's so sickening. And then...
No, it's not. Listen to me, Miss Hood. It's not racial here. It's not racial in this courtroom.
You're right.
Sometimes when people behave badly and they have no defense for their bad behavior, they infuse racism to try to inflame the fact finder. Listen to me. It doesn't work. Go ahead.
Afterwards, I leave because I don't know what they're going to do. Brycey then jumps back in the car with the younger sister that she picked up who's in the back seat, chasing us. I'm stopping at stop signs, stopping at stoplights. Each time we stop, she's getting out of the car, trying to come up to the window, still screaming. When we see two cop cars coming, I pull into a parking lot. She pulls in. When she pulls in, she stops. She gets out of her car. I'm going to mollywop you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to beat you up.
May I please see the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
And then
I want to see the police report.
The cops that pull up are telling her to get back in her car. They restrain her. I'm sorry.
I want to read the police report. You told the police you got out of the car.
My sister got out of the car.
Brycey, you signed the statement. You said, before that, I got out of the car and asked what the problem. And one continued to yell at me.
When I got out the car, that's way before, whenever we were still in the school area.
You didn't tell me that you got out of the car.
I did. I said I got out the car and asked her to move.
No, you told the police you got out of the car and asked her what her problem was.
Yeah, I asked her what the problem is. Can you please move? I was not honking at you.
Did you do the wrong thing that day?
Yes, I did.
How much of this accident was your fault?
I would probably say, I don't know. I'm not going to say that it was the least of my fault. No, it was not. I shouldn't have honked at her. You know, that's the one thing. I shouldn't have honked at her. And then when I honked twice, I probably should have yelled for my sister. Or, you know, then after I got out the car, you know, instead I should have probably just sat there and waited for her to move.
Yes, you want to say something?
For what it's worth, I just want to say that I did speak with Mrs. Hood regarding this accident 2 days later. I went over to Mrs. Hood's home because I got the police report. I didn't have insurance. I was going to file the insurance and I needed to know where she lived. The police did give us her address. And I went. She was very polite. I didn't have a problem with her. Mrs. Hood told me she was having a bad day that day. She said she was in an argument with her husband's nieces, and you know, she was upset and she was already tensed up and upset. And she did tell me she intentionally hit my daughter's car. She never denied hitting her car, but she also proceeded.
Just a second. Are you telling me, Miss Bassey, that Miss Hood said I intentionally hit her car?
Yes, she did. Those were her exact words to me. Yes.
Interesting. Is that what you said to her?
I said I hit her daughter's car. I never intentionally hit it. She was coming this way to cut me off. I did hit Brycey's car. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't hit it.
No, I know you did. I have the pictures to prove that you did. I'm just surprised that Miss Bassey is telling me that you used the word intentionally. I mean, I can't imagine anybody intentionally hitting somebody else's car.
Oh, that's what she told my daughter and myself. And she also told me she left the scene of the accident. I don't agree with Brycey chasing her. She said she left the scene of the accident not because she was afraid of my daughter.
Not just chasing her, Miss Bassey.
She left because she said she was unlawfully driving her truck.
Listen to me. I got it. I don't believe this story. I believe that what your daughter did was pull out, speed around her, and I believe that when she pulled out and sped around her, Miss Hood caught up with her.
No, I don't believe that, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Because Brycey wasn't moving when she hit her.
No. Listen to me. I said Miss Hood caught up with her. She pulled around her fast in a school pickup zone. That's what your daughter did. She had an attention span and a fuse that was about this short. And she created a situation in there because she's got a hot temper and she wasn't behaving like a mature driver. Neither was this one, but she's not the plaintiff, she is. So you had, according to your complaint, $4,000 worth of damage to your car with no insurance.
No.
And all I'm asking...
She had insurance.
Insurance.
Yes, we had insurance.
Oh, good. So how much did the insurance pay?
We didn't want to file the
No.
insurance.
Well, you better.
Insurance does not take care of damages that have intentionally been done
That's
to
what
the
they
car.
said.
Well, listen to me very carefully. I would file with my insurance carrier if I were you. Ordinarily, if this was solely her fault, I would say, well, why should you file with your insurance? Because that means your premiums are going to go up.
Yes, which they would have.
You're absolutely right. They would have, because she's a 17-year-old driver who was involved in an accident. But this accident was partially her fault. So I think you ought to file with your insurance company. Now, what kind of deductible do you have?
$500.
Good. Miss Hood's going to pay that. But you file with your insurance company. This accident was partially your fault, and that's what you have insurance for.
Even though Mrs. Hood agreed to fix her car, she agreed to fix it.
Listen to me. Then you don't come to court, Miss Bassey. Then you don't come to court. But if you come here and you're asking a fact finder to make a determination of what the right thing to do is, in this case, the right thing to do is because your daughter was at least 50% responsible for what went on that day because she did the wrong thing. She may have caught her on a bad day. That's the way sometimes you catch people. What? She was not in a hurry to go to a summit meeting. So she waits her turn, and she takes an extra couple of minutes, and her sister doesn't get out of the car in an aggressive stance. She's not picking up her baby sister, who's 3 years old. Your other daughter looks like she can well take care of herself, and she's got an attitude. So that's what you have insurance for. Miss Hood has to accept some responsibility for what she did, and she's going to cover your deductible. Put it into your insurance. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may. Yes, case number 15 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Welch. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Miller, it is your claim that the defendant, who was living in your home, along with her mother and her child, filed false charges against you for domestic violence. You want to be compensated with the return of your bail and some additional amount of money to compensate you for what you went through. The defendant says that she filed for a protective order because the ultimate reason was you called her 3-year-old some bad names, right?
Yes.
How did she come to be in your house?
Ma'am, Jessica Welch and I had a relationship. Our relationship started the ending of September, beginning of October. She moved in, ma'am.
Why did she move in?
We had a relationship. I was physically attracted to her. We talked a lot, had a lot of things in common, ma'am. My wife moved out
When did your wife move out?
about the end of September.
Okay, so your wife moved out in September. You began a relationship with the defendant, and when did she move in?
Beginning of October, ma'am.
Don't like to be alone?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Miller?
No, ma'am.
Are you living alone now?
No, ma'am. I'm back with my wife, and we're working things through.
Good. You still didn't tell me why she moved in.
She was living with her stepfather, ma'am, and I guess her stepfather was doing a lot of yelling. It was a bad environment for her son, CJ.
So that's why you allowed her to move into your house, plus the fact that you liked her.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right so far, Miss Welch?
Yes.
You'd been living previously with your mother,
My mother and stepfather, yes.
and they weren't getting along.
No.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Did you work then?
Yes.
What kind of work did you do?
I'm a clerk at a convenience store,
Full-time, part-time?
full-time.
And your mother?
She works for a big satellite company.
Tell me about why you filed for a protective order against him.
There was an argument that Chris and I had.
When?
Right before Thanksgiving. It's the end of November.
Okay.
He had been drinking. He had argued with his wife on the telephone.
چې نمبر ورنکی نو هلکان وی دا فیک آیډي دا چې نمبر ورکی او په میسجونو سره خبرې کوي او یا په کال او یا په وایس میسج سره خبرې نه کوي نو دا فیک آیډي دا چې کله وته وایس وکي یره دا د بل چا میسج دی فیک آیډي دا چې کله وته دو درې شپې پس وته یره یو وایس خوراتو کا او زمانوم پکې واخلا نو چې کله وته پکې وایس کې د دنوم واخلي نو بیا وته سوی ماشاءالله ډېر خولي आवाज دی بیا یقین نورو پیدا کیږي نو بیا وته یو دو درې شپې پس وای ځکه یو تصویر دی وبا سوراولېګا نو چې تصویر ولو با سي ورولېږي نو بیا ورته وای ماشاءالله ډېر خسته تصویر دی نو بیا یو څو شپې پس دا ویډیو کال تم شروع شي چې کله دې په ویډیو کال باندې خبرې شروع کی نو ته خو ماسیم لیدلې مخ مټ پټوا مخ کولو کا نو چې کله مخ کولو کی نو سکرین ریکارډینګ شروع شي نو چې سکرین ریکارډینګ دیو کی نو بیا وته په سباوي کله به ملاويږي نو چې دا ملاوي دوه تا غین کارو کی نه دی اړه بلیک میلینګ شروع شي زبستا تصویران لیکم زبستا ویډیوګانی لیکم ما سره ستا ویډیو دا ما سره ستا تصویر دی جنہیں دیتا مجبور کی نظامہ خیاندو تاسو په کم هوش کې چپراتی دا هغه وخت نه دی کم از کم د خپل رونو او د خپل سپینګری پلار مور قدر عزت ستاسو په لاس کې دی نن سبا هغه دور نه دی دا هغه دور پاتې شوی نه دی چې لږ عزت یو الګ تخپل کم کو بللا کتا د خپل کور عزت جوړ کی د خپل کور د خپل مور د خپل پلار د خپل رونو عزتونو سره لوبه مکوي ډېر خیال کوي ځکه چې هغوی ستاسو د پاره بهر تلي مزدوري کوي مسافرۍ کوي دلته تاسو هغوی له ګلونه مه جوړوئ دلته هغوی د تاسو پیغورونه مه جوړوئ لږ احتیاط کوئ زما په دې میسج کو تاسو پیښ شوي یې مخکې نورو سره شیر کې چې د نورو تم پته ولګي